So today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be looking at the patch notes for today. Everyone seems to be making videos on this, so I thought I might as well chime in. It's going to be unscripted freestyle, so expect Joshua style. I've already looked at these, already have thoughts about them, and some people have made videos, and I think what they've said is kind of ignorant. I don't know how to say it otherwise, but they've said some really stupid shit. I'd also like to talk about the new bugs we've experienced so far, which, as you know, let me just move my mic away so it's not peaking so hard. 4 new Art of War missions. This is good. Sorry, is this? Oh, the last 12 months. Okay, we can skip this shit. All this has been completely free to owners of the game. I think we probably should move off the idea that getting patches and updates is something you shouldn't complain about because it's something you get for free. But in games these days, it's expected. It's the reason you buy it. You buy is expecting some competent updates and long-term support. You don't buy a game, especially a multiplayer game, that they're going to drop support off in a month. Battle Royale. Battle Royale is quite good, but it still has some bugs. For example, quick play in general really is buggy, but Battle Royale has, if you garrison your units in a building right now and it gets converted, you'll just lose them, including your hero units, which I find really weird. Otherwise, it seems fine. I think it's a good game mode for people who just like to play a bit more casually, want to play something a little bit different, a little bit more fun, like good old scenarios like we used to have, CBA, Tower Defense, that kind of thing. I think that's really, really good to have. So I commend them for that. It's basically just a scenario, but it's a good one. Seasonal event, no one gives a shit about that. It's basically just some skins, the profile pictures, for doing some basic in-game tasks. New quick play functionality. Quick play is where this falls down. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. Performance and stability improvements. We'll talk about some of the improvements in terms of bugs that they fixed in big inverted commas, but that's for another time. Performance improvements, they do seem... It's hard to say, but the game seems to be running like a potato for quite a lot of people, including me, and I have a 3950X plus 2080 Super. Improved wall placement. This is something they really undersell. The wall placement is probably the biggest feature of this entire update. Like, it's crazily good. Other QLL features... Oh yes, the global queue. Civ changes, balance changes. We'll talk about the balance changes. I think the balance changes are actually quite a small thing. I think we waited 3 months. I'll get to that when I get to my more angry bit later on. Prefer random if selected by majority of players. This I like, but at the same time, I think it's really bugged right now. It might just be quick play bugs. Basically, in quick play, 3 of us had prefer random on, and 3 of us got our civs, and one guy who didn't, he got the random civ. And I think the chances of that happening are fantastically small. What was that? 31 to the power of 3. Scenario improvements, always nice to see scenario editor. But let's get into this. I've been rambling for 4 minutes and not even gotten to the changes yet. 4 new profile icons, TC decoration, whatever. This took them like 3 hours to throw together, as it does every single update. New multiplayer quick play. Did we get to the UI before then? No. Okay. Alright, so the quick play is kind of simple. It's basically they copy and pasted the ranked multiplayer queue, and they forgot to copy half of it. The way I mean by that is that we have so many bugs, so many things that just don't work about it. It is like the same as matchmaking, where, as you can see here, you select 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4. You've got a map pick and a map ban. If you're 1v1, you've got 3 bans. If you're solo queuing for 4v4, for example, the same amount of bans. You've got 1 ban, 1 fair map. This doesn't work right now. We had games earlier. Me personally, I had Was it Oasis banned? I had Oasis banned, and the next game I banned Arabia just to see. Both games we got those maps. It wasn't preferred map for sure. I had preferred arena, obviously, because that's what we do around here. But we didn't get that. We played an arena game eventually. Well, when I say me, I mean I queued solo and played with some randoms. And the guy in another team said he banned arena. So I was like, what? Oh man, none of that made any sense. So yeah, it's like that, except you also can pick color, and this icon here, which lets you go to the tech tree. If you click on that, it will. I think it takes you to Aztecs, no matter what civ you have picked. Like at the top of the list, it won't take you to your civ. And then if you X out of there, sorry, if you don't X out of there first and you find a match, your game will crash. If you do X out of there after you've already found a match and you opened it when you got into the match, and then you back out, your screen will just the whole UI will just refresh. Spend 5-10 seconds waiting on that, and then chat gets refreshed, so you can't see what anyone said. It's so bizarre. There is no elo balancing here, not even unranked elo. It literally just will pair you against anyone. I don't get it. There's no need for this. It's like they tried to replace lobby browser with something inferior to lobby. It's like matchmaking. People look at matchmaking and they think, you don't get to play what you want. You have to play a certain pool of maps. If you want to play whatever you want, we'll play lobby browser. This is like, okay, we'll look at that and we will give you what you want. We'll give you quick play. We'll just make it so matchmaking for lobby browser, you still don't get to pick what you want, but it's unright. What? Who even thought this was a fucking idea? Enough of this fucking stupid shit. Also, Battle Royale, I've noticed with random map actually it's a bit laggy, but Battle Royale, especially when you're trying to get in game, it's like you hover on the screen, where it shows everyone's civs and their teams and whatever, the black screen as you're loading into the game, that can hover for 5+ minutes. It's so bizarre. Everything is just wrong with this. And don't even get me started on the UI. Well, we're about to see it. Let me get to it. Is this it? Yeah. Battle Royale, as I said, I think Battle Royale is actually fine. I think it's a good thing. And I think it's quite nice to have the quick play idea for it to match people into it. And probably even Empire Wars as well. But RM, no. Just not RM. If they fix this, then I can't say it would be too bad. Just the execution of the UI as well, though, is pretty bad. So they'd have to find a way to work it in, maybe not have the multiplayer UI thing and then just let quick play or whatever. You can just have a side button for Empire Wars or Battle Royale or something. Just quickly get mashed into those modes. But yeah, making this one of the main premises that are right in front of your face when you're playing, that's yeah, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, if you don't know about Battle Royale, though, look at the videos. Basically, you start with a couple of units. You go find some buildings. You generate resources whenever you capture those buildings and create units, and you fight. Typical Battle Royale stuff where the outside of the map closes in on you. Alright, so the UI, both experienced and new players will find the game more welcoming than ever with updates to the overall UI. I can confirm that's complete fucking horseshit. No one asked for the fucking UI we got. We waited 3 fucking months without any update for a couple of balance changes, which is an hour in the Genie editor. And what is it, a couple of skins? All we really waited for was a scenario Battle Royale and then this UI. So as the balance changes, and this UI is the worst thing about it. They're advertising it as their biggest feature. The walls is a bigger feature than this. I quite like the Civ thing, but making it two-step is still a bit of a pain. Sorry, 3-step. You open up the Civ, you click on your Civ, and then you click confirm. And that I could live with, even with it taking the full screen. But the whole UI is basically just the same, 3 extra clicks per. You have to click on single player if you want to do that, and then skirmishes, campaigns, whatever. Multiplayer, then it's ranked, quick play, find custom games. So lobby browsers being minimized further. So right in your face, if you didn't want to play ranked, it's quick play, which is going to put you into some ridiculous unbalanced games of things you just don't want to play. It makes no sense. It's absolutely bizarre. And also, it just looks like these are scribbles by a 12-year-old. The whole UI is just disgusting. And it's so laggy. Like, if you're in a lobby with a good PC, you'll still see like 10 FPS just in the lobby because of the UI. Everything you click now has like an extra confirmation pop up. So many more clicks to everything. Every single time you get one of these pop ups, by the way, every time you click on something in the new UI, the animation happens, and that will take like, it's not like long, it's like, half a second at the absolute longest UI I've seen, but it's just every single thing you do, you have this extra 4 second, half second delay added to it. And that makes it really clunky and terrible to use. No one asked for this UI, wants this UI. I don't understand. The only thing I understand is like, okay, some people will want to see a bit more streamlined of a Civ thing, which is fair enough. And this one I can actually accept, but the whole UI overhaul is complete BS, and no one seems to like it. Stability and performance. Players now properly reconnect to their match if they experience a brief drop in the internet. An issue with attempt to reconnect indefinitely. This one is not the most common drop, but it is certainly one of the bigger ones. It's nice to see that one fixed. It would be nice to see the rest fixed. But I give them credit. They've actually fixed one of the issues, not most of them, but various performance improvements. See how the game is rendered. If I'm honest, the only performance improvements I've noticed is, well, none. Everything runs slower, especially in game. A lot of people, like playing the same people I played with for quite a long time, they're getting a lot of lags that they never did before this update. And largely in battles, I mean, like, in Battle Royale, I was not experiencing a good time in there. Same thing there. Fixed various issues which prevented players from connecting to a match during ranked matchmaking. I think this is not talking about any of the DCs or drops. I think this is just kind of trying to upplay. I don't know if that's the right word, but overstate that they've fixed some things that will stop you being stuck on establishing connection, I believe, when you get a game. That happens all the time. If they fix that, then that solves queue times by at least 2 minutes of the half hour you still have to wait through all F4s and bugs, but it's something. Fix an issue, prime computers run both an iGPU and DGPU from default to their DGPU. Okay, that's something simple to fix. I'm glad they fixed that. I mean, it shouldn't have been a bug in the first place, but... Alright, some hotkeys. Quite a new hotkey entry to quickly go to King. Go to King is nice. I think this is a useful hotkey. It's going to be one of those ones that you don't exactly use a lot, but like it's just nice to have on the side because you could put it to something that you'll never ever think of using, some combination. And then when you actually use it, it's just right there. Select all trade units as well. Really nice hotkey. I think this one is going to be really handy. I like this one in terms of addition. Select all visible military hotkeys has been fixed, I think. Yeah. Warships and no land units are visible. Not got much to say about it. Mouse wheel, scroll through the tech tree. I don't know why they went for the ultra jank movement it has, but I guess it's fair enough. If they tried to streamline it, you would know they would set the particle accelerator on fire in CERN. But that's just them. Rally points to enemy buildings on a split minimap. That is an old issue. They describe issues from before DE as legacy issues, but this is a legacy issue they're not describing. It's been around forever. And they fixed all the tech trees, so all the percentages appear right. For example, Aztec military bonus was at 10% when it's actually 11.1% faster. Because, take 10% off in terms of the total time it takes to do it, you get 9%, so you can say that's 10% faster, but 9% as a ratio to 10% is, 11.1, so... Is that right? That's the other way around, isn't it? Oh well, don't give a shit. Some of the audio got fixed. Boars, shut up less. Yeah, that's the one. I guess that one's okay. Volumes. Unit voices, actually, that's something I've noticed. It doesn't bother me, but some of the units are louder than others with different civilizations. This will fix your double click problems when you double click your villagers by accident, or when the game just randomly thinks you double click your villagers, which is quite often. So I quite like this update. It's a very quick change, but a very nice quality of life thing to add. Other changes, again, improve the placement of walls, which now automatically point angles to cover shortest distances. Like, this is huge. Your walls, like, you barely need to even think about your walls. You literally just drag from one place to the other, and you'll get quite an optimal wall already. That's a really, really nice, quite in depth thing. I don't know why that hasn't been a thing before, if it was this easy. And they're making it look this easy because they're just putting it sort of at the as a smaller note. Should to place a wall, prevent some wall foundations being added to the command queue. I haven't had that issue, but I guess it's one of the rare ones. Fix a rare issue where units tasked to attack a wall and retasks or set to patrol would on occasion continue to attack the wall instead. This was not rare, this was reproducible every single time. If you attacked the wall, you moved slightly away, maybe like one tile, and then you patrolled or I think attack move as well. If you did that, then your scout would move for like half a second, and then he'll go straight to attacking the wall. I've been using this. Like in Arena, I attack people's walls, and then I do the patrol thing to move back and get it to re-attack. A lot of people think I'm attacking the wall, and then they'll come attack my scout thinking that he has some free hits because I'm too busy attacking the wall. But because I'm patrolled and it's not officially tasked to attack the wall, he will attack their scout. But yeah, calling this rare when it's guaranteed reproducible every single time. I haven't a fucking clue. Why? My main thing is that they've done such a bad job of the. I think Forgotten Empires will want to sort of minimize the record of any of their issues. Like, playing off any major issues is rare. And only saying, like, really uncommon or small issues are the big issues. Just so in the future it looks good in their portfolio, so it doesn't look like they've made a complete fucking disaster of everything they ever touch. Which is, true. AoE3 deleting data on people's PCs, stopping them from booting and all that. That's how you know Forgotten Empires was involved. Units can now be DQ'd from global queue. This is quite nice. I'm not sure if I'll have the use for it, but I think it'd be really, really nice to have a quick look. For example, if you accidentally queue up some militia. And, when you're making halberdiers instead, and obviously you don't have any upgrades to your militia line, just quickly removing those could be really nice. I think that's a good feature. Trebuchets, monks now show their faith and their packing progress under a health bar. I haven't managed to find much of a use for monks, but I think if you have like low monk micro, then and you're not doing like control groups or whatever, you're not paying too much attention to your monks, then that could be really handy because it'll really just let you just click on your monk, convert, click on your monk, convert, click on your monk, convert. Monks carrying relics and not will be considered different units. This is quite nice. I've had quite a lot of times where, for example, gone monk treb, relic right outside my base, I go to grab it, and then I end up having to double click my monk's control group or whatever, and I accidentally select that monk, bring him into the group, and bring a monk with a relic forward rather than back to my monastery. Defensive buildings no longer prioritize enemy buildings over other units. Over units. This is a good one. It's been a problem for quite a long time, and an easy fix, but they haven't bothered to fix it for quite a long time. It's nice to see. Towers would usually, for example, attack a close by house rather than enemy villagers, and it's always been quite frustrating to see them do that in terms of priority. You have to micro a little bit harder, or even if you're not microing, you build a defensive a tower, for example, to secure a spot, and it does nothing because it's too busy attacking your house when you're looking away. Town Centre and Gate Foundations. This is a legacy issue as well, where they're removed from their control groups when they're built. This is this is a legacy issue. It's been around for a very long time. Again, I think they're just trying to overplay the main issues of the game. The small issues of the game and underplay all the big ones. Dismounted conics now properly benefit from their unit upgrades. I haven't seen an issue with that. Maybe it's something that you can see, like maybe squires they're not being affected by. We don't use conics all too much to really get an idea of that. But I'm assuming that's kind of what happened, and if that was a bug, it's good that they fixed it. Attack move and patrol could be used with trebs in the group. Obviously, they can't attack, but they'll move with the group. I think that's fine. It's been quite often I've had a group of units selected and then can't do what I want to do because I've accidentally selected one unit that can't do those in the group. It's like having 5 villagers and you accidentally select a spear, it doesn't let you do some things. Auto scout now disabled when players resign. Units no longer try to complete the command queue when they resign. I kind of like that because when players like DC, you kind of just hope they'd have auto scout on because people DC all the time. And yeah, I've seen villagers take farms and stuff. Although it's not in their command queue, like people just right click their farms, and those farmers continue even after resigning sometimes, and they didn't shift queue them. I've asked, so I'm not sure about that. An issue where Lithuanian relic bonus would not apply properly when relics are stored in multiple monasteries. I never noticed this. I played with Lithuanians quite a bit, and when I did, I never noticed this. I'm kind of unsure where they're getting that issue from. Fixed a rare issue. Again, not at all rare. You don't ever double click gates because you know it's just going to happen in every arena game when you go to delete your back walls. Double clicking a building can select all buildings at the time instead of only the visible buildings. This is one they claimed to have fixed a couple of months ago, but obviously, it's Forgotten Empires, they made a complete fucking arse of it. But it's good to see that finally fixed. It applied to a lot of different buildings. It was towers, bomber towers, gates, that kind of thing. Although I'm not so sure what really correlates them, but I'm sure other people have done other buildings. Fixed a rare legacy issue where stock command issued 2 units could leak onto buildings, causing them to cancel their build queues. This must be rare, I've not seen it, but we have seen similar issues. For example, Doubt was playing a game, there's a clip where he was cycling through his castles and deselecting units to stop them creating. And as you know, a foundation in the same place that you've got units creating, if you click on the button that's in the same place, it will cancel the foundation, the construction of that building. He was cycling through his castles. He clicked that, moved to the next castle. He kept moving through his castles, and it deleted a fully completed castle because he clicked the stop construction on our building. I suspect this is very much the same issue as why it's really terrible to control group your monks on DE sometimes, because it just eats so much of your clicks. I think it's because it is transferring certain actions, mainly control groups, when you're doing them that fast, I guess. Maybe you just can't handle the inputs, but it's just transferring the inputs to something else. It's just one input gets held up and then acted on a second later. Fixed a rare legacy issue which can prevent purchases from the market despite having the resources to do so. I saw this nearly every game. It was sure my economy sucks. I have to use the market often, but yeah, that was really common in D. And I don't remember it before, but I actually trust on that one. Probably is existed before. Naval battles. Don't know about that one. Someone's complaining about this. This bug has been fixed since this bug has been there since very, very early on. Someone in my Discord said 8 months. The Yoda High Stern campaign medal is now correctly displayed. A couple of things: Targ 5 and Barrack 3, BBT, and Legentor seems nice. The melee armor of all walls, I believe including stone and palisade, has been reduced to 0. I can see this being fair. Let's look at the other one. What was it? Palisade wall increased time by 1 second from 5 to 6, I think. It's a slight nerf. I don't think it's that dramatic, but I quite like it. And it's about time they nerfed foundations a little bit for the quick walling. Quick walling we see too often. We don't see the quick gating anymore, really. But yeah, quick wall. I'm not actually sure. Like, we're gonna punish you if you don't wall because we're going to nerf quick walling. We're gonna punish you if you wall. But that just encourages people to wall earlier. Like, look at Starkey walls with the 7th villager. Increase the collision size multiplier for elephant units to match that of other cavalry and ranged units. Okay. I'm not so sure what that means, if I'm honest. Battle Elephants lose some of their bonus damage against buildings. 7-4 to 10-7 in Elite. Losing 3 for Elite. I think that's okay. I don't think it's really the problem how quick they kill buildings, but it'll definitely, for example, you have 4 Seed Workshops, it'll definitely take them a lot longer to get through them and buy you a bit more time. Schlottels get 30 HP to attack and +2/+2 armor. It matches the beginning post imp. Yeah, this was for Battle Royale, and to be fair, DM actually gives them quite a new dynamic now. I wonder how they're going to handle it. Schlottels, if you don't know, is the stable unit for the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas. They all can make them. Incas and Aztecs have to convert a stable, and Mayans just need to start with one, which you can do mega random. Aztecs, oh, we're into the serve nerfs. Here we go. Aztecs go from 5 to 3. This is going to be noticeable in the economy, but I don't think it's going to make them from a ultra top civ to a mid tier civ. I think they're still going to be good tier, pretty good tier. Good economy, but also the military bonus is really effective as well. No one can start with Golden Empire Wars, who cares? Jaguars getting a big buff though, is something's been suggested recently. They create really, really slow 12 secs, puts them, right up there. So I think this one's quite nice. I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, but yeah, actually in Arena, does that change anything? I don't think so. Bulgarians, Blacksmith go from 50 to 80% faster. This is the team bonus. I think that's going to be a nice team bonus to have. Blacksmith, the Siege Workshop Siege Workshop upgrades now cost 50% less food. It definitely helps with, especially like Cavalier, for example. But then taking into things like even Siege Onager is going to be a lot cheaper. I think that's a pretty reasonable buff. I think they're still nichely and fundamentally shit. Like I think like 3 of the 4 new civs are. That it's not going to be, fair enough of a change. I think changes like this can either sway too much or too little. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a weird one. But I don't think it's going to buff them too much. Enough to see them used much. Iron Buy both have a higher reload time, so it's going to take them longer between each volley. For hit and run, which, murders knights, and to be fair, is how to kill pretty much every unit, I don't think that it's going to make much difference. I think maybe it'll make a difference tanking the TCs. I don't know, like, your crossbows are only going to get like 1 extra volley every like 8 to 10. I don't think it's going to be significant. I did play with them in single player, and I could hardly feel the difference. Like, it was there, but it wasn't huge. Celts getting Dark Age nerf because everyone cries about one. I think this is okay. Impunious now only getting it in Feudal Age. I'm not sure how I feel about that for much. In Arena, it doesn't change anything unless you're expecting a Trush, because there's a few people who always Trush, and I always pick a decent infantry civ against them. Something I could even fast imp with, something's like even Portuguese, but they slightly cheaper multi-shell, and just do Drush into fast imp multi. It can be really effective. Cumins, both Kipchak, standard and elite, have 0.5 second fire delay. I don't like this because they were a fun unit, they had low range, they were a nice unit to micro, they were all that Cumins had in Arena. Arabia, yeah, sure, very annoying unit, but we didn't actually see Cumins pick too much, and we didn't see him win too much in some of the recent tournaments at all. So I think fundamentally they rely on the Kipchak. In Arena, they're very weak. Cumins, but Kipchak were the strong point. FC Kipchak, for Seed Workshop, push with that stuff. You could do some really good stuff with Cumins, but only FC. If you went Feudal Boom, you would die to literally any form of aggression. It's such a bad Arena civ if you don't plan to. The only thing saving it actually is A, Kipchaks, and B, they have a reasonable late game. With Paladins, Kipjack could be okay. They have SO even without Siege Engineers and Siege Ram as well. It's quite nice. They also have Halb. So I think Cumans are low tier, but it was really saved partly by the Kipjack, so I don't know how we're going to rate them now. For anyone who wants to complain about that, if you do Cumin 2 TC Boom, you're going to be Castle Age, for example, 1930, 20 minutes. If you're against someone doing some proper aggression, they will be in your base with mangonels by 16 minutes. Like, you have a minute and a half till you click up, and you're fighting off mangonels and enough army. Like, no matter how many scouts you have, you can't fight. You could just see Pikeman go, really fast Pikeman go like 23 plus 2 from Celts, for example, and you'll get cleaned quite easy. Ethiopians, this is what I don't understand. Ethiopians get a slight nerf and a slight buff, but like, they're both two units that don't matter at the same time as Ethiopians really need a nerf. Shota Warriors, they go from 35 to 30 gold. No. We'll stay with that. Like, it's sure, they'll get a slight buff, they'll be slightly more used, but like, Ethiopians don't need a buff. Reduce the width of Scorpion projectiles from 0.5 to 0.4 with torsion engines. This is fair enough. Those Scorpions would literally, like, even if they missed, they still hit. It's really strong. Ridiculous so even. So it's nice to have a little bit of a nerf, probably not enough to change the times you would use it compared to not. But, you know, it's nice to see a little bit of a nerf. Ethiopians is often picked in 1v1, but in team game flank, it's picked in nearly every game. There's only 3 civs that are rotated between, and they do nothing to fix that. Goths finally getting another change. I saw this one on the leaked thread. Can it be researched instantly rather than at no cost? I think this doesn't really change too much in most maps. Goths will still feel good. I think in Arabia, sure, it stops you adding in a lot of militia and having a very long Dark Age, but were Goths that big of a problem that recently? I think in when they first gave them the insane buffs, they were used all the time, had a high win rate, but I think they've really fallen out of favour in the higher levels. Again, you can't balance based on low level gameplay because they're not using the civ bonuses to the max, and they're losing because they're not using their own civs bonuses, for example. So there's no point in messing with bonuses when they're not using them all. So I think this is an okay change, but it doesn't make much difference in the end. Indians, this makes them a lot weaker in arena. In 1v1 arena, they're going to be pretty low tier because of just the straight weakness to Halbonder, for example. They do have BBC, sorry, not Halbonder, Halbseed Drum. But yeah, I think it's not ideal. Was it they get 1 Pierce Armor in Castle, 1 Pierce Armor in Imperial Age? In Castle Age, it's basically like getting free, scale thingy plate? Bollocks, was it? Chain. Free chain barred armor, because the melee armor just doesn't really matter. Which I think is a nice bonus. In Imperial Age, getting the +1, by the time that getting the +4 is not so expensive. I think, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. In most maps, I think it's a slight enough to Indians, but I don't think it's enough to stop them because Indian against non-Indian teams, Indian just dominates really early on. I think the lead is going to be huge long before that even becomes into game. Because they lose plate barring armor. So they have 1 less Pierce in Imperial Age. Oh, I forgot that also applies to all stable units, so scouts as well. It gives them a massive boost to their Hussar line. How do I feel about that? Well, I think you've now got 3 Hussars. We'll talk about that later when we get to Turks. With bonus Pierce armor, I think they're just kind of repeating themselves a bit. Team bonus from cameos to buildings 5 to 4. I think that's reasonable in most team games. If, for example, you have a better engagement, you end up in their base. They have, knights and crossbows. You have camels and crossbows. You have more camels than you have knights. They don't want to take the fight yet. What you do, you kill the ranges. You kill their forward production buildings. And you just basically stop the crossbows to stop them being able to mass enough army to even fight you. It's quite easy to do that kind of thing. Solons used to give you more gold per relic. Now it's slightly less as intended, which is nice to actually get things as they are stated. Indians, it's a nerf, not enough to nerf NTGs, and it's too much to nerf it in 1v1s. And to be fair, even arena maybe. So I think they didn't know what they were doing with that one. Genoese getting a buff. Italians is not a particularly weak civ in closed maps, and water maps is just really, really strong. I think they've actually done something good here by giving the Genoese a buff in terms of training time, because on maps Italians are dominant. You don't see Genoese really. It's just mainly because of water and that. Arena flank and 1v1 could be quite good. Genoese just helps overall, and I think in team games is going to be quite nice. Late game Arabia TG, I think if you could get to that point. If people are playing random civs anyway, no one ever plays random these days, but if that's a consideration, then they have a better late game. I think they kind of nerfed the right area, buffed the right area here. At the same time, it's just kind of probably not going to change the low win rate in, for example, 1v1 Arabia, where they're going to be looking for the buffs. So I think we're going to see another buff for Italians sometime soon. Khmer's going from -3% to -5%. I didn't even notice when I went to 0.3%, -3%. I just kept doing the same builds, no problems. 5% might mean 100 food over the course of many thousands. It's just not going to be noticeable. I think this is probably not very nice to see nerf. Reduce the bonus speed of battle elephants from 15 to 10. I remember right, crossbows are still not as fast, but it will help. It will help hit and run for crossbows in 1v1s. Khmer, where you could just make one elephant counter a whole group of skirmishers they made throughout feudal age, was always a big thing. I think it's a nice little thing. In team games, I don't think it's going to make such a big difference. Even with the other elephant nerf, it's, I don't think it's going to be too huge. Tusk Swords getting a cost increase. This is not noticeable, because this is not making it a tech that's legitimately expensive. It's still a cheap tech. It just now feels like you're getting a tech rather than for free. 200 wood, 300 gold, almost nothing. 300 wood, 450 gold. You take a little bit of notice of that. It's like getting one of your blacksmith upgrades and half of another. Koreans has been butchered and bastardized and never seeing it again. Receive archer armor upgrades for free. And they got the tower range removed and made by a unique tech in the Castle Age. The castle for Castle Age. The turtle ship, they lost their unique tech, which gave them extra speed. So the turtle ships themselves, they straight up just get the speed buff. Only elite though, not the normal one in Castle Age. Turtle ships are really nice. Need to play with them more. I'm not sure how I feel about this. They still get the free guard tower, which is nice, but I think in closed maps, which is what we're really focusing on here, Koreans really needed that extra range, because slow civ, you don't want it to be too fast, because obviously they have a great late game. But towers was one of the main things to defend against most things in Castle Age with. Free guard tower, huge. You shred mangonels, kill monks. Knights don't do all that well against a few of those towers in your TCs. There's very little in Castle Age that can actually deal with guard towers. If you have just one or two mangonels behind and you've walled inside your base, not even rams can stop it. So I like them having the stronger towers. Guard tower is probably still strong enough, but I don't know. I think it's the nerfed Koreans I don't like too much. And then they just buff them with free archer armor upgrades. That's going to be really nice in 1v1s, for example. Just straight up just going, man arms archers or whatever, Drush Arch. Everyone does Drush these days. I don't think they're going to fix that. We're going to see literally just pop out 3 archers against even 5. You'll still have a decent fight before they get fletching. So if you're behind, it's going to put you on an even keel. If you are on the same foot as them in terms of archer numbers, you're going to be noticeably ahead. I think it might increase the viability of war wagons. It saves them a few upgrades. Quite a lot of resources, actually, if you're going for war wagons like an arena pocket. Maybe it's useful. We'll look into it. Letus can reduce pierce armor from 2 to 1. This is nice. It's going to stop raiding as well. But the biggest problem is they just slaughter halbs. and I'm not sure if that's going to be a big enough solution to prevent them from just like countering the hard counter. Gebeto fire delay reduced. We don't see Gebeto enough. We see Malians occasionally, but I'd like to see Malians more with how strong of a civ they're on paper supposed to be. I think buffing the Gebeto was not going to make much difference. It's a hardly seen unit, and it's still, still going to die to just crossbows, even just like casual mangonels. We see it used to be like a lot of top players would not make mangonels against a lot of ranged units because they would just get out microed. Nowadays, we're actually seeing quite good mangonel shots, so I'm not so confident that this is a great change, but it's a good one. It's in the right direction. It's buffing something that's weak at the same time as probably going to bring a civ we see a bit less more into play, especially at lower levels. Lower levels love this kind of shit, like bells. Obsidian arrows nerfed for stone walls, stone gates, towers, harbors. What about castles? Maybe? I don't know. But Obsidian arrows was never that great. We see. I played an Arena TG earlier. It was two players. We had like Saracen flank, Mayan pocket, Turk flank, and the two flanks literally slung the Mayan pocket to do Obsidian arrows, crossbows, and tower blast. And the guy barely struggled. Like he literally struggled to kill me. He came with three people, and then I ended up killing his flanks. But enough boasting about that game. I'm just saying, Obsidian arrows is really a meme, and unless you are slinging in a high level game, it's not really going to work. We did see it recently where slinging was allowed in a tournament, which because of it they've had to basically revisit those rules. But yeah, slinging we don't see so often, but this is the only reason Obsidian arrows is even viable. Portuguese. This is really shit for Arena because there are two tier S tier, without doubt in my mind, civs on Arena for flank and 1v1, and that's Portuguese and the Teutons. And arguably Malay, sometimes Britons, depends which person you ask after that. So you're buffing an S tier civ on Arena because you pay no attention to. Basically, the FE model is we're going to give you matchmaking that doesn't let you play the map you want, so we can force you to play all kinds of maps, but we're only going to balance it for one map. We're not going to care about a map that's permanently in the pool, multiple maps even. We'll just balance it for Arabia because, we're fucking stupid. That's Forgotten Empires in a nutshell. I worked it out. If you get most of the main monk techs with Portuguese by Imperial Age, for example, Fast Monk Trip, then you get 2.5 more monks if you're doing double monastery, which is huge. You could do 2 monastery, one castle organs, for example. It really helps you get clutch upgrades like Arbalast. You can take into Cavalier really, really quickly. Really nice buff, but for a civ that did not need it in the slightest. Spain fixed an issue where the faster gunpowder bonus did not apply to cannon galleons. I didn't notice that was an issue, but if it was one, it looks like they fixed it. Tatars, this is a huge one. This is a ridiculous one. Town centers now spawn with 2 sheep upon reaching feudal age, and newly constructed town centers after will also spawn 2 sheep. This is fucking ludicrous because I like this change, but at the same time it's ludicrous. It takes one of the bigger costs out of booming, which is adding farms to be able to support the TC, and it delays it by minutes and gives you more villagers in the process. As Tatars, 2 sheep is 300 food. And with just 8 sheep, which is minimum, no cows, 3 deer, which is also the minimum, you could do a 25 plus 2 4 TC boom, where you instantly drop the 3 extra TCs and you build them with 3 villagers each, which is 1 more than you normally would because of lack of villagers. You just send half your eco to build TCs, and then you could afford to run them right away, and you just keep running them. 5 villagers each TC going to each sheep, and after that you just start making farms like crazy, and then you start making farms so the villagers run out. It's insane. It went from like above generic slightly to one of the best booms, like top 3 easily, top 2 maybe. It's just crazy, this buff. And then you've just got people, I'm not going to name names, but prominent content creators who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, just looking at the civ and they just say with such confidence that's going to make things a bit awkward. It's not going to make a big difference, and people listen to that stupid shit. This is huge. Silk armor increases the melee armor of the steppe lancers, cavalry archers, and the light cavalry line. So they have hussars with extra pierce armor. The melee armor is not huge, but the pierce armor is important, which is really nice for raiding. The cav archer really, really tanky with the +7 pierce armor. I think it's really, really nice. That's, for example, 3 damage from an arbalest, and they have 80 HP, which is, quite a lot. Whereas cavalry archers just shred arbalest. So that's a really, really nice buff to that tech. I think this is a good one. Then again, Taras, they still feel kind of slow in some instances. I think they're strong myself personally because I love my heavy cav arch plus siege ram combinations, or heavy cav arch plus hussar in some pinches. And then we see exactly the same thing again. We saw with Indians, then we saw it with them, and now we see it with Turks. +1 pierce armor on the scout cav line, including hussars. This is something I thought would be really good in Arabia, but in Arena I think it's like you're giving Turks a buff they don't need. But then again, this is fucking Forgotten Empire, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then they buff Elite Janissary. One of the biggest fall-offs in the game, in my opinion, is going from Janissary and Castle Age to Janissary and Imperial Age. Turks are amazing Castle Age. They have a really nice early Empire spike, but buffing that with giving good Elite Janissary so they don't taper off so heavily, that's going to make Turks too strong. 50 to 65% accuracy is a huge increase. I think, I don't know what I want to think on that one. It's just buffing a civ that's already great in some maps to make it broken on those maps to make it mediocre in others seems really odd. But then against Scotland Empires, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Hussar +1 pierce is fine. Fine. Oh, imagine those hussars killing skirmishers, as the meat shield for your heavy cav arch. That's going to be stupid. Oh boy, I can't wait to start winning a lot more with Turks. Vikings, chieftains increased quite a bit in terms of resource costs. 400 to 700 food, 300 to 500 gold. This is not why we see Vikings be too strong. This is going to nerf it as a pocket civ in Arena in close maps. To be fair, in high level TGs, even if they go all random civ, we'll see chieftains do okay. But we don't really see that at all. It's chieftains champions. Probably the only way. You don't really see Zarks too often outside of Arena TGs and high level games. You don't really see them at all. I think this is a weird nerf, but it's a needed nerf. Vikings are very strong in pretty much all maps, so I'm welcome to nerfing them. Random maps add a safeguard to ensure sheep always spawn in correct numbers all the time, especially in Arena. Mainly Arena, actually. You'll see one sheep spawn on its own, instead of in a pair of 2 sheep. Weird things going on, but it's nice to see they added something to maybe fix that. This is not the most confidence-inspiring sentence, though. Empire Wars got changed a bit. You have 3 less farmers, 1 more berries, wood and gold. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Probably it's going to be worse because the mill always spawns 10 miles away from the berries. And Turbine was no longer spawn. Simple. And map balance, there's nothing really to talk about here. Antarctica got a penguin. I heard it's really, really strong, 16 attack or something. So if you like fun maps, sure. Arabia got fixed, so some Reddit posts recently about patches of road appearing as sort of placeholders for the generation of the woodlines. Looks like that's been fixed. Cliffs will no longer generate too close to players in forests. Interesting. Fixed a bug where goldstone nodes could occasionally spawn on shut gates. Occasionally. You fix it so your castle doesn't block your gold. I don't know. These cliffs. Yeah, nothing too interesting here. No maps that no one's really interested in playing. Let's look at Nomad actually for hills. Reduced elevated areas. Okay, this was a legitimate problem in Nomad. That's why I never played it, mostly because of the hills. And also Nomad is just a shit map. But the hills were a problem. It's nice to see they fixed something that matters. Oh, and Scandi, they finally fixed this like 3 months or something. Scandi has been Empire Wars start without Empire Wars selected. Some stuff for RMS scripting. This one's up to the people who know it. Why is lobbies and matchmaking at the bottom? Yeah, this is really jank. The lobbies and matchmaking. I already talked about the new UI in the lobby. It's just the invitation system looks a bit better, but if it didn't lag so much, it'd be nice as well. And have all the animations that waste a lot of time. Basically, the whole new UI, it can fuck off. If I'm honest, it's some real bottom tier shit. I like this change. The Regicide, Emperor Wars, and Sudden Death are now optional settings. So you could have other game modes like Sudden Death, Regicide. I don't know. It's I forget other game modes. I don't know. I wonder if Relevant Victories now allowed in Regicide. Nice. You can get Wonder Relevant Victories in Regicide. That's interesting. Conquest and Regicide as well is also fine. Prefer random civilization that requires a majority of players in a match to opt in rather than all the players. I think this is a nice change. It's going to screw some people over. It's going to make some people F4, that's for sure, if you're playing with randoms and 3 of you have that selected. But as I said, it doesn't work in quick play, and I haven't tested it yet in ranked, but I bet it doesn't as well. When restoring a game, players can now choose a server, spec settings, and spectator delay. Restoring games never really worked, so if they haven't fixed that, then there's no point in making changes to it. Yeah, urinary retract infection to instantly spectate matches by clicking this button. Oh, so you can click a link to join a match. I'm guessing this is like AW2.net where it's going to implement the ability to, for example, do ongoing matches and then have a button here saying spectate. You click in that and it takes you into the game where you can spectate the brings you into spectating the game. I think that could be really nice. That's a nice feature. Fix an issue players get locked out of a match when accepting an invitation to lobby they're already in. This is not the main issue. The main issue is when you accept the invite from when you're in a game or on the statistics screen, then you will be stuck in a 0-0 timer and have to restart your game. Nothing you do will fix it. At the same time as they don't seem to have fixed the issues with whenever you have a queue and matchmaking failed or whatever, and it just disassembles the queue and you have to reinvite everyone. Oh, I should also mention the UI, the options is now in the top right. If you have 2 monitors, you'll probably have experienced this bug already, but it's quite common. If you, just on the off occasion, the game will just randomly start as full desktop rather than full screen, which means instead of taking up the full of your monitor, it'll take up the full of 2 of your screens. But if it does that in this bug, it just never displays anything on the right monitor. So you've got half the game on your left monitor and a big black bar on the left side. And presumably you'd have the right half of the game on the right monitor with a big black bar on the right side of that because the main menu's resolution is 16:9. But now the options are on the right side. A quick tip you're going to have to do is use the Windows key and down to window it, then go to the options and then switch it to full screen. Because there's no way you can actually click that button and get into the options if you don't do that now. And they not fixed that bug, but they made it worse to fix yourself. So that's something to bear in mind. AI seems to have gone stronger. It's basically just the walling and strategy decision. I've not actually seen much from the AI in a while. But it's nice to see AI improvements because that is A, how you practice a lot of build orders, and B, just really good for all the single player players. Pathfinding, don't fucking lie to me. Units tasked to follow another unit will probably update their path when issued a new command. Yep, that's Small issue. Units now update the path when retasked to determine whether there is a more optimal route to the task at hand. What? They'll change their path when told to take a new path. Interesting. Okay. This is the weird one. Fixed a rare issue where boards can randomly stop chasing a unit after climbing an obstruction. This is not the main problem. The main problem, which happens probably at least one in every 2 games for the past, couple of patches even, maybe the past patch. Boards have been getting stuck in thin air. They've not been colliding on anything. So I think the way to describe this is a rare issue when we're thinking this common issue. As this is a rare side issue to that, it looks like it just sometimes when they get stuck on buildings when you're walking past them or trees. But I don't think this has anything to do with your boar getting stuck in thin air. I think that might still be an issue. And they're kind of just trying to word this to make it seem like they didn't. Fix an issue where you can attack units with melee units at the edge of the map. I've seen this happen. Units kind of bunch together and just don't know how to surround a unit. Fix a rare issue where units would pass through solid objects. I mean, it's been months of like scouts going through palisades and stuff, but maybe they fix that. I don't know. Some scripting improvements. Always nice. Implemented various fixes and updates in non-English translations, but a lot of the non-English ones are still screwed. Like the Spanish one saying, was it Squires give plus 15%? That's been wrong forever on the Spanish version of the game, I think. But yeah, that was what was leaked on that stream recently and made everyone think that would be a change. Some fixes for mods, I'm always happy to see that. Some scenario editor stuff. Ongoing issues is basically just TGs don't really work. They're DCing all the time. Lots of lags, lots of crashing in the lobby. Spanish incorrect percentage numbers, certain unit description. This has been around forever. They know about it. They didn't decide to fix it. So lots of small things, but the thing is, like a lot of the changes are smaller changes that are quick to make. For example, map balance. Go into the RMS, quickly change it if you want. Antarctica 1 line to make you start as a scout. Sorry, just one copy and paste like the Great Villager or whatever. Change the name of Villager to Penguin or whatever the ID is. Number to 1. Done. But yeah, a lot of this is just really small changes. Probably took a guy an afternoon to do all these. Took a guy a couple of hours, maybe an hour in the Genie editor to make all of these changes. Probably they spent a couple hours discussing them because they have no idea what the fuck they're doing in terms of half of these. And yeah, a couple of the new features. I think the wall is probably the main one. So we got some nice new features. I think the walling is a nice one. But the main selling features of this are the balance changes, the UI, and Battle Royale. Battle Royale is a scenario. The UI is absolutely fucking dreadful. And the balance changes are lackluster at best. Like, they are all over the place. Some of them are good, some of them are just straight up bad. And a lot of those are particularly because they're balancing for one map, while they have a random matchmaking pool to make you play other maps. So, the main selling features of this entire update are just completely fucking bizarre. I give them credit for Battle Royale and some of the single player improvements. I give them next to nothing for half the multiplayer improvements. Aye. That's an hour-long freestyle about this update. And I need to get a drink because I am dying eternally. And by drink, I mean probably whiskey. Just to drink away the fucking pain of this game.